You hear the terms all the time, right? Self-love, self-care, they're absolutely everywhere. But let's be honest, they can feel kind of cliché, maybe even a little confusing. What do they really mean in practice? Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to build a clear, actionable framework for what it really takes to build a loving relationship with yourself. In our journey, it doesn't start with some modern self-help trend. Nope. It starts with an ancient truth, inscribed thousands of years ago at the Temple of Apollo in Delphi. Know thyself. This powerful idea reminds us that this quest to understand who we are, well, it's one of the most fundamental parts of being human. It's the essential first step before literally anything else can happen. And that journey begins with the first, most critical step, building a solid foundation of self-awareness. I mean, it just makes sense, right? You can't truly love or care for something or someone that you don't really truly know. Okay, so let's get a really important distinction straight right away. There's awareness, and then there's self-awareness. Awareness is about looking outward, noticing the room you're in, the people around you. But self-awareness, that's the skill of turning that focus inward. It's about recognizing what you're actually feeling, what's driving your choices, and why you act the way you do. It's basically becoming an expert on your own internal world. And what's so fascinating is that real self-awareness isn't just about your conscious thoughts. It's about listening to your entire being. So your neocortex, that's your logical mind, that's mostly conscious. But then you have the limbic system, your emotional heart, which is mostly subconscious. And the basal ganglia, your gut instinct, that's operating almost completely in the unconscious. To truly know yourself, you've got to learn to tune into the signals from all three. You know, there's a psychological theory that explains what happens when we do this. It's called self-awareness theory. And it basically says that the moment we turn our attention inward, we can't help but start comparing who we are right now with who we want to be, with our deepest values. And that little gap, that's the spark that makes us ask, am I really living the life I meant to? Okay, so you're starting to get more aware of your inner world. You see the good stuff, but you also see your flaws, your mistakes. The million-dollar question is, what do you do with what you find? And that brings us to our second step, responding with self-compassion. To put it simply, self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a good friend. Think about it. When a friend messes up, you don't tear them down, right? You offer warmth and support. Self-compassion is just about turning that same supportive voice inward, especially in those moments when you feel like you've totally failed. And we can actually break this down into three really practical parts. First, it's about choosing self-kindness over that harsh inner critic. Second, it's remembering our common humanity, the fact that making mistakes is part of being human and you are not alone in it. And third, it's practicing mindfulness, which is just about noticing your pain without getting totally swept away and consumed by it. Now, here's something that a lot of people miss. Self-compassion isn't always soft and fuzzy. It actually has two sides. There's the tender side, which is about comforting and accepting ourselves, but there's also a fierce side, that mama bear energy that stands up to protect us, that sets boundaries, and that motivates us to make a change. Not because we're bad, but because we deserve better. All right, so with that foundation of awareness and with that kind response of compassion, we can finally build the daily practice of self-love. This is where we take all that internal understanding and turn it into real, actual things we do. And this is where it gets so powerful. As writer Sarah Thompson points out, this creates a feedback loop. See, the more aware you become, the more you can genuinely love what you find. And the more you love yourself, the safer it feels to look even deeper. It just creates this amazing upward spiral of growth. So what does this look like day to day? Well, the work happens on three levels. It all starts with our thoughts. This means learning to question that inner critic, remembering that just because you think something doesn't make it true. It means hitting pause on the endless comparison to others and intentionally speaking to yourself with a bit more kindness. From our thoughts, we move to our emotions. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel happy all the time. It's about actively looking for things to be grateful for in yourself, letting yourself soak in those positive feelings, and, this is a big one, practicing self-forgiveness. It's about finally letting go of the weight of old mistakes. And finally, our thoughts and emotions have to show up in our behaviors. This is where self-love becomes visible to the world. It's tuning into your needs and actually listening. It's making time for things that bring you joy. It's asking for help when you need it. It's treating your whole self, mind, body, and spirit with the respect you deserve. Okay, let's just pause here for a second. I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds really nice, but trying to do it can feel, well, difficult. Maybe even a little fake, or dare I say it, selfish. This is such a common roadblock, so let's tackle it head on. This is such a crucial point because this journey, it is not a straight line. It's messy, so we need a reality check. Let's talk about some of the myths that get in our way and the massive billion-dollar industry that's been built around all of this. Let's start with the biggest myth of them all. For so many of us, the second we think about focusing on ourselves, this alarm bell goes off in our head that screams, "That's selfish, that's narcissistic, you should be focused on other people." But here's the truth. Genuine self-love is the exact opposite of that. It isn't about ignoring everyone else. It's about seeing yourself in context. When you feel secure and worthy from the inside, you stop that internal me versus you war. Life stops feeling like a competition. Taking care of yourself doesn't take anything away from others. It gives you a much stronger, fuller cup to pour from. Okay, here's another fear I hear all the time. If I'm too nice to myself, I'll just get lazy and complacent. I need my inner drill sergeant to push me to succeed. So many of us believe that being hard on ourselves is the only thing keeping us going. But if you look at the research, it tells a completely different story. Self-compassion is, hands down, a more effective motivator than self-criticism. When you can support yourself through a failure, you create the psychological safety you need to learn from it and try again. It fosters a growth mindset, which has been shown time and time again to improve performance. And finally, we have to talk about the context for all of this. The self-improvement industry is an $11 billion market. That's billion with a B. And when there's that much money involved, you have to be a smart consumer and ask, what exactly am I being sold here? As psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman points out, a lot of the time when people get into self-improvement, the motivation is really just about what's in it for me. They're looking for personal gain, more happiness, more success, over things like moral growth or having a deeper connection with others. So let's bring this all back to a much more realistic and I think healthier goal. This journey isn't about reaching some perfect, enlightened state where you never have a bad day again. That's a fantasy. The real measure of your progress is your bounce-back time. It's how quickly you can return to awareness and self-love after life knocks you off course. And that brings us right back to where we started. This whole grand journey from know thyself to daily self-love, it all starts with a single, simple step. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What one small act of self-awareness can you practice today?